Hello, welcome to Jadekind Gaming. My name is Adam, and today I am going to be unboxing the Hero Quest game system. And this is an exciting one for me. You may have noticed for some time there has been a copy of Hero Quest sitting here on a shelf in the background. Much of the components of this are my childhood copy that my mom got me from a garage sale as a kid. The box is not. That box is up on a higher shelf out of the way because it's really torn apart. This one is only sort of torn apart, and I bought a incomplete copy at one point just to get a nicer box. Games meant a lot to me. It was my first experience with a dungeon crawl kind of experience as a kid who was not allowed to play D&D. I like this art better than the new art, I'll say that, but I love that the new art is very much inspired by the traditional art. They didn't just totally go their own way, they recreated what was there. And so Hero Quest, finally the rights to the name and the rights to the rules were paired back together, and I don't know, was it a year ago-ish? Avalon Hill, the board game department that used to be under Wizards of the Coast, which was under Hasbro, I think moved directly under Hasbro. And their, I believe, first big project since then was crowdfunding the remake, the re-release of Hero Quest. I'll have a second video that has the expansions as well as the specific stuff, like the components that were through that crowdfunding thing that I don't know whether you can get elsewhere other than eBay or not, but this one I'm just going to be opening the main game system, the main game, taking a look at that in this video. And it was through Hasbro Pulse. I couldn't do Kickstarter, they didn't do that. I had to sign up for some other system, but it was worth it because I now have a brand new copy of Hero Quest. Let's take a look. Isn't that beautiful? Now, I will note, one of the things that they changed, possibly, is the gender of the elf. See, female elf here. They were all male in the original game. Which I point that out specifically because the back of the box, if you look at the mini that's pictured, the Master of Spell and Sword, that is the male elf. So I don't know which one's actually in here. Either way, when I get to the other video with the other components, I know they've done both genders for all of them. Your contents, your rules here. I'm just gonna cut the tape out of this box. Keeping it shut. This is exciting for me. I've had old used copies of Hero Quest always, and there we go. One of the things to note, just really, sort of this color on the side of the box. What is up here? So we have a sleeve. Oh, okay. That instantly answers it. They do have the female elf, they just pictured the wrong one on the back of the box. Okay. Yeah, let's start by looking at these. And this would be, I gather, the gargoyle. Which was, of course, in the old set, the most imposing of the minis. And they are, one of the things they promoted was 1-inch bases, so you can paint them up and use them for D&D as well, if you want. there are 3 of this fish creature. This is a new creature. I forget what it was called, but there was some weird, not quite ogre or whatever monster in the old game that was Games Workshop licensed. So they don't have that license this time around, so they made their own character, and this looks interesting. So the other one didn't make any sense to me either, so good enough. There were 3 of the previous one, and there are 4 of this sort of imposing knight figure. The face on the armor and the shield. And there are 4 different orc sculpts, and there are 2 of each sculpt in here. So, and again, you can paint these if you want to have them. I don't know if I'll be able to get myself to do so. They went with the traditional colors from the old set, and that's what I'm used to. And I love just sort of that feel of the old mini. It's very reminiscent of the originals, and I love it. There are 3 different goblin sculpts, and again, there are 2 of each of these in there. These look really cool. My brain just says the big thing, if you do paint them, then you feel like you can use them for D&D too. I don't know. There's our goblins. There are 4 skeletons, all with the same sculpt. And there are 2 different mummy sculpts, 2 of each of these. And I guess the thing about also with them being their original color is that actually affects the game. There's the focus point. It's too light. Because, I mean, per the rules, at least originally, if ever you were told to add a monster and you didn't have one because the heroes had just ran around and not killed things, you would add one of the same color. And then we have, I don't know, I'm sure it's not the Chaos Warlock anymore, but the magical big bad. And then we get to our 4 heroes. We have our wizard. That moon staff. Oh, man. Our elf, which even though they didn't show it on the back of the box, was the female sculpt for the elf. Our barbarian. Very imposing. And our dwarf. Oh, and I do, with these, figure I'll just point out, you know, scale-wise, WizKids Mini for scale. Pretty sufficient. Then we get our dice. 2 red normal d6s. And then our the dice, which are dealing damage 50% of the time. If I'm remembering correctly, and it's been a long time since I played, I think monster defending against a hit 1 in 6, and hero defending against a hit 1 in 3, if I remember correctly. And then otherwise the other symbol, if it's not rolling for the right person, is moot. And so again, there's the tray with all of those figures, and has this sleeve. You can go around it to keep it nice and tidy for storage. I like. So this is on the front of the box. It's on the sleeve. We have the same image again. Oh! It's gonna be furniture. It's gonna be furniture. It's gonna be furniture. It's furniture. Oh! Yes! Okay, let's zoom back in. We have doors. We have 5 closed doors, and I think it was 16 opened doors to show where they can, what rooms they can explore and what rooms are already open. We have this sort of altar. This is so cool. The ones in the old set had like cardboard for like a lot, like half of the parts of the furniture, and these are like all plastic. Oh. I mean, look at this. You got the, was it the rack? Torture device. There's another reason. If I paint them, then I have scenery to dress up dungeons. The throne. I really don't know whether I want to paint them or not. I'm very conflicted with it. I'm also not the greatest painter. So that's part of the worry, I'm sure. Got a pair of tables. They're identical. The weapon rack. It's got the shields from the dice. There's the weapons. The, what is it? Alchemy desk. And the bottles and scale are attached. In the old set, they were not. It seems like they're glued separately, so I could pry them apart if I wanted to, but they are glued on as it came. There are 3 of these little treasure chests. Fireplace. We have the sarcophagus. Removable lid. There are 2 bookshelves. Just the texture and depth. Again, like on the old one, this was just like a folded up piece of cardboard that went between 2 pieces of, maybe it was only 1 piece of plastic that held it in its rectangle shape, and it just had images of books on a shelf. But I mean, you got like an actual bookshelf, and there's a little skull in there, and then we have a cabinet. Same little setup here. And now you may notice there aren't little holes like there were in the other set. However, there are still rats. There's 4 little rats, and there are skulls. There's 3 of this little set of normal skulls and whatever animal skulls these are. They just don't have the pegs to like hold them onto the piece of furniture, but they are there to spruce them up as they were in the old set. There is a pack of cards here. Okay, which seems to be the way that they have done the character sheets. So instead of, say, having a cardboard piece, they are just cards. That's not quite as nice. Oh man, the art is great. Yeah, so you get that. We get our cards for the monsters. For artifacts. I imagine that this is all redone art, but it's clearly redone art, but it has this feel that is still so evocative of what the original art was that it makes me so happy. Here's, I guess you could call it a downside. There are equipment cards. So battle axes, bracers, broadsword. In the original game, there was like a big, like they would have, on one of these, covers, they would have just had the armory, and it would have everything there for you to select, but they have cards here instead, which is fine, but it is different. And get dread spells instead of chaos spells, because again, no longer tied to Games Workshop. But so these are the spells that the what is it? That Zargon might have. We get 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then we get the spells for the players. So water. I'll look at the back because these are beautiful. Earth, fire, and air. So the 4 different elements of magic for players. So wizard, I think it's like wizard chooses one, elf chooses one, wizard gets the other 2, if I remember correctly. And then treasure is the remainder of the cards. So wonderful treasure, eh? Some wandering monsters as treasure, eh? And the last thing in this sleeve that contains the furniture is the character sheets, which do look very much like the classic ones. But I feel like the pad is thicker than typical. Quest to be completed. And then we have the bottom. Okay. Pull things out. Is there anything beneath this, or is this just space? This is a spacer, which might be very useful when it comes to the other components from the expansions. But we have the last bits here, basically. We'll do the board last. Wow. So this is your, for lack of a better word, DM screen. As controlling the monsters. It's controlling Zargon. The evil sorcerer controls monsters. And it tells you what the heroes can do, what you can do. combat summary, the stats for all your monsters, even though they're on the cards, you also have them here. Very nice. The quest book. There's the monsters in the back. Has the blank design your own quest. I'm very glad they kept. Quest 14, don't want to look at that. The intro. Quest 1. I've playing it as a kid. I never got all the way through. I probably played the first 5, and like the first 2, the trial, and the rescue of Sir Ragnar. Those ones, I played a lot because as a kid it would be like, oh, a different friend, like, oh, let's do this. I have this game. It's like the coolest game. But you start from the beginning, so. I would be very pleased if I can manage to get recording set up where I can record the table well enough to do a board game proper and just go through this. I'd love to do that. I'd love to bring it to the channel at some point. I might. The rule book. Of course. Explaining the things. Yeah, like hero spell cards. Dividing the spells. Direct the hero players to divide the hero spells. Wizard first chooses one of the 4 spell groups. Next, the elf chooses 1 spell group from the 3 that remain. Finally, the 2 remaining spell groups go to the wizard. Yep. I remembered it. What was the other thing I wasn't... Defending monster. Oh, hero defends. Yep. So I remembered what the dice symbols meant too. Very cool. Here are the dungeon entrance. Are they? Oh, and there's a straight dungeon entrance on the back. That one I don't recall. I think it was always just curved. The trap doors. All these are just squares that pop out to block hallways. Were there grates before? Those seem new. What's this symbol? I don't recognize the symbols. Pits. Debris. Blocking 2 wide hall. So I'm going to go to punch out pieces. And the board. Which is definitely different style. It folds out very differently. But it is still Hero Quest. And they still have the colors for the rooms. And the rooms with like the patterns. Yeah, I hope that I manage to find a way that I can bring this to the channel, if for no other reason than to give myself a way that I can play through the game. And I can take the time and really play through the game. And being able to present it to you would probably be the biggest thing to get me to actually do that. Because again, I didn't play a huge, like very far into it as a kid. But it was definitely influential on what I found important in games. And because it was the game that I'm like, it wasn't Monopoly. It wasn't Clue or Sorry or whatever games we played with family. It was distinctly different. And it was one of the first like board game things that made me see there can be more to a game than what my family always plays. Yeah. So that's the Hero Quest game system. It, I don't know. I mean, it just arrived from the crowdfunding. They may sell it through Hasbro Pulse directly after the fact. It may come to stores. You may just have to pick it up through eBay. They haven't really announced what their wide distribution options are going to be. But even if it just comes down to eBay, I'm sure there's ways to find it, as there have been with the old versions of the game. But for me, I just got to open up a new copy of Hero Quest, and that is something I never thought I'd do. So that was really cool. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.